And in September, we're going to have a special precinct strategy election call. That will be pretty big. It'll be 50 people, one from every state. We'll keep you posted on that. So Linda, come on down, get on, and you're up and ready to go.
Thank you so much. I'm Linda Sinkowitz from Fight Voter Fraud. Thank you, Raj and Steve, for having me on this week. Greatly appreciated. I had 4 quick things that I wanted to let everybody know about. The first one being I have a TV show called Sinkowitz. It's spelled phonetically. It's on OBBM Network TV. And what we talk about are all the election integrity issues across the country. It's basically a rundown every week. I choose at least 6 states that we talk about. I have a guest. My guest this morning, because we tape it ahead of time, was Ken Cuccinelli. And we also have a little trivia, but we have a vote notes that would be a topic of the day where it connects you to more information. So we've already taped our 16th show. We're really excited about it. It is now an hour. Steve was one of the first people who came on my show when we were only half an hour. We've come a long way. So if anybody is interested in being a guest, you just have to email Tim, T-I-M, at fightvoterfraud.org. I'll have it in the chat. If you're interested in becoming a guest, he will be, getting all the emails for those. So we really appreciate that. Again, it's OBBM Network TV. So we're very excited about that. The next thing is I wanted to urge people to check in your own state on whether your election officials are actually certified. Every state is different. But what I have found here in Connecticut, we probably had 40 towns that legally couldn't run an election because the election officials were not certified. We're still pursuing all of that. And even the certification here in Connecticut was an absolute total joke. They take a 2-hour test and it's 50 questions, yes or no, multiple choice. They only have to score a 70. And it's open book. It is unbelievable. And we still can't them to get themselves certified. So which makes me wonder how many other people out there have the same issues that we have here in Connecticut. We're trying every way we can to shine the spotlight on them. But I'm sure it'd be a lot easier in other states than it is here in communist Connecticut. Okay, so the next thing, number 3, we want to let everybody know. We have finally, as of about an hour ago, we finally completed getting our double registered, double voter information run through our system. It took a lot longer than we expected because of all the data that we had. It took about 9 weeks of continuously running all 50 states through all our different data sources. So those who are interested, you can go to our website and fill out the form for the data that you'd like. But I do have to caution you on one thing. My data person here in Connecticut is on vacation for a few days. So it's going to take us a few days to get ramped up. Those who have already sent your forms in, if you've received an email from me in the past month or so, yes, we still have you. And it is certainly first come, first serve. The first couple already know who they are. We are working on getting your stuff together. So we are finally excited that we have all that information that we will be giving out free to the public. All you have to do is ask for it. So we're finally ready to do that. Along with that, the next thing I wanted to let everyone know is that the training that we're able to do to show you what you need to look for. We are setting up different trainings. We didn't want to do it via WebEx, but with some, we have no choice in doing that. Like for West Virginia, I think it's the 24th, we're actually doing a training for them. So if anybody is interested in learning how to do the deep dive, how to prove whatever it is that you need, email us at info at fightvoterfraud.org. And this is our book we use. We have every single state on what to look for. We have the hyperlinks. And that's what we want to do, is get everybody else out there working and being able to bring the stuff to their own local law enforcement. So again, if you're interested in the training, just send us an email at info@fightvoterfraud.org, and we will get back to you when we're going to be doing the next training dates and the rest of the information that goes with that. So again, I want to thank Steve and Raj for having me on. My stuff is a very quick update because I am literally out the door headed down to DC for some meetings. So thank you guys. Greatly appreciated.
So just to let everybody know what could happen will happen. Thank you. You're a little late coming on live all over the country today. We're going to give it about a minute to make sure everybody gets on. The next person coming on in about a minute will be Jim Walsh. He's the chairman of the Washington State GOP, and we're so happy to have him on. See if you can find him, Raj.
Yeah, Jim is on. Go ahead and unmute too. Oh, Jim is ready to go. Go ahead, Jim. You're up.
All right. Thanks, Raj. Thanks, Steve. Steve's right. My name's Jim Walsh. I'm the chairman of the Washington State Republican Party. I'm also a state legislator here in Washington State. I represent a district on the coast of Washington. Those of you who aren't familiar with the Pacific Northwest, many people think Seattle is on the coast. It's not. It's actually inland quite a bit along the Puget Sound. So my district is the coast. And it was a district that for decades was considered deep blue. We flipped it starting in 2016 and firmed all that up in 2020, and now it's considered a very red part of Washington State. We are dealing with what is probably the least secure voting system in the United States. We are a 100% mail-in voting state. That's not unusual. There are a few of those, but what is unusual is we have essentially no safeguards on registering to vote in Washington State. And not only do we have effectively no safeguards in registering to vote, no confirmation that a person registering is in fact a citizen, we have automatic registration, which some of you will be familiar with as motor voter. But it's not just motor voter. You're not just automatically registered to vote when you get your driver's license. You are automatically registered to vote when you apply for any state benefits. So if people apply for SNAP, if people apply for Medicaid, they are automatically registered to vote. And there is no confirmation that the person automatically registered to vote is a citizen. There is an attestation that you are a citizen when you are registered to vote. But if you are getting a driver's license or applying for government benefits, generally the person working your case checks that box for you. So you can, unless you affirmatively say, I am not a citizen, and you don't have to be a citizen, by the way, to get a driver's license or apply for state benefits in Washington. Unless you affirmatively say, I am not a citizen, you are automatically registered to vote. So we have drafted an initiative. Washington is one of about 14 or 15 states that have people's initiatives. That is legislation that you can start with the people, not with the legislator. And this initiative would require proof of citizenship when someone registers to vote. So it is controversial, although it shouldn't be. It polls at very strong bipartisan support. The polling we've done indicates support somewhere in the neighborhood of 75 or 80% support the initiative. That is, support requiring proof of citizenship when people register to vote. But the left here in Washington State, which has dominated our state politics for several decades, is absolutely going crazy about it. The largest newspaper in Washington, which is the Seattle Times, has run several articles mischaracterizing the initiative, saying that it does away with vote by mail or it does away with standard vote tabulations. None of that is true. All the initiative does is require proof of citizenship when you register to vote or are registered to vote. Their second line of attack is that the initiative would require people to have what is called an enhanced driver's license. Here in Washington, we have two types of driver's license, a standard driver's license and an enhanced driver's license. For an enhanced driver's license, you have to prove proof of citizenship and residence, legal residence in Washington. For a standard driver's license, you do not. And so the left has attacked the initiative, saying that by requiring an enhanced driver's license, we are effectively creating a poll tax. An enhanced driver's license costs more to get than a standard driver's license. That's also not true. The initiative allows any number of ways to prove citizenship. The enhanced driver's license is just one. A birth certificate, obviously, would prove citizenship. A passport would prove citizenship. If you're a naturalized citizen, your naturalization document would prove citizenship. So the initiative allows multiple ways to establish your citizenship and therefore legal status to register to vote. But we are seeing the left here in the state, the political establishment and its minions in the media, attacking the initiative pretty aggressively. But as they say in politics, when you're taking that kind of flack, you know you're over the target. And we believe that this initiative, oh, by the way, the number is IL26-126. I'll put that in the chat box later. We believe that the initiative is good reform. While there are lots of things we'd like to do more to enhance election security and boost confidence in our election integrity out here, we believe that requiring proof of citizenship to register is the first step and the largest step. It will effectively begin a process of auditing our voter rolls, our election voter databases. In Washington, as in many states, that process of managing the voter databases is handled by the counties. We have 39 counties in Washington, and each of the 39 counties is responsible for managing its database of registered voters. This is loosely coordinated at the state government level through the State Secretary of State's office. But the State Secretary of State does not have the first position in the eyes of the law for managing the integrity of the voter databases. And in an all mail-in state for voting, those databases have to be kept up by other means. In an in-person voting state, of course, you update your voter rolls every election cycle when people show up to the poll and sign the book and confirm their residence and their voting status is active. In an all mail-in voting state, there is no regular process for updating voter databases. And that is why this initiative and the requirement that someone prove citizenship is healthy, even beyond just checking citizenship. It's an overall check on the validity and currency of our voter databases. So we are challenged in Washington with one of the least secure voting systems in the country. This is not a partisan issue, by the way. We've had Republican election officials in our state in the past. Currently, at the state level, the Secretary of State is a Democrat, but it's been both parties have had a hand in creating the situation in which we have such an insecure election system. But we are determined to reform it. And as I mentioned, the polling on these reform efforts is strongly bipartisan. So this is not a partisan issue. It's a matter of cleaning up our process so people trust our elections more. You'll find when you start taking moves to reform and improve election integrity, the left will attack you by saying, show me evidence that there's voter fraud. And we show evidence that undocumented aliens, illegal aliens, are registered to vote. We've shown that. We've shown that people who are not rightly registered to vote are voting in districts and in elections. And we've even litigated some of these matters. We had a state Senate race last cycle in 2024 that was decided by about 180 votes, very close state Senate election. And we showed that there were at least 500 people who voted in that election who weren't legal voters in that area. And so we show evidence, and the left accepts none of it. They just pretend it doesn't exist and tell us that we have not provided proof of election integrity problems. So don't be caught in their game. Don't sweat hard trying to establish voter fraud. One bad vote is enough to warrant reform. And we can easily show there's more than one bad vote in Washington State. So while establishing fraudulent votes is important, many of the systems of abuse are designed to be hard to detect. In our state, proving voter fraud in a 100% mail-in voting system is difficult. But people in their gut and in their head know that there are problems, and people like Seth Keshel and others have done statistical analysis that show there are problems. And we think that going ahead with reform will be not only widely popular and bipartisan, it will actually improve outcomes, more transparency, and more confidence in our elections. So that's the state of play right now in Washington State. Steve and Raj, I'll hand it back to you, but happy to answer questions. We've got other people from Washington on this podcast on the call today, so I'm sure they'll have more to say too.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on, and we're going to have somebody from Washington coming up, Robin Balcom. You want to unmute her, Raj?
Hi, Steve. Our next speaker is ready. You can go ahead and bring him on.
Go ahead, Robin. You're up.
Hi there.
A little bit
Our
louder.
next speaker is ready. Can you go and bring him on? Oops.
Yep.
Let's see. I think I'm on. Do you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Turn
Hi
up your
there.
volume.
Yep. My name, well, Steve, I'll let you ask a question or I'll just dive right in. I can talk all day.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Awesome. It's an honor to be here today with so many patriots. I too am a patriot. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. And all of those things are what got me involved in the political world. I'm sure, as all of you know, this is not fun. You don't do it for kicks because it's quite torturous, frankly. But one of the things that really got me involved initially was election integrity. Being here in the deep blue state of Washington and living in King County, which is where Seattle is, it's just the worst. And so many people that I would talk to about voting would say, I don't vote, my vote doesn't matter. And that broke my heart because that goes completely against what our Constitution established our government, that we the people were to have a voice. I stumbled across Dan Schultz a few years ago and started following him. I see that Dan is on the call. I've only met him via Zoom, but Dan, I honor you and your work with Precinct Strategy because we, a group of us in King County, were definitely under a stranglehold of establishment leadership in our party, which is KCGOP, King County GOP. And in December, at our biennial reorg meeting, we applied the precinct strategy. We whipped the votes. We contacted PCOs. We found out how many were on our side, how many we could count on. We recruited people to come to the meeting, and we showed that the PCO is a powerful position. And we had to fight and we had to use the bylaws and the meeting rules and all of the Robert's rules to do it in a way that was legal and effective. But when we stuck to the strategy, which really was kind of a military strategy, I thank God for the people who think like that, who got us lined up and ready. We went into the meeting, we did it by the book, we stuck to our script, and We the People, which is a fully, we had a slate that we called We the People. We took over leadership of the King County Republican Party. And I told Dan Schultz, I want King County to be a poster child of precinct strategy working. We've done it in one stage, which was getting the right leadership in place, but there's more work to do. And as Jim alluded, and I so respect Jim Walsh and I appreciate him being on the call today, we have to keep working. I find I'm a legislative district chair. So here in Washington State, I am part of, we're divided in counties, as many of you I'm sure know. I've learned a lot about all the different levels of leadership, but I have Legislative District 12, and I am over the precincts in the King County portion of Legislative District 12. And so we are building more than just a PCO community. I don't start by asking people if they want to be a PCO. I find out whether they're America First or not. And then I like to invite them, and we call our meeting a Patriot and PCO meeting, because I want to honor anyone that is willing even to come to a meeting. And we start talking about our local government. I am so proud that this election cycle that we're in right now, which is for the most part a nonpartisan election cycle, we have gotten people into slots that probably a few weeks prior had never even considered running for office. And a lot of stepping into government and stepping into even running for a race, you learn a lot about the positions. Just this past week, I learned about what the hospital district commission is, because we have a guy in our district who's going to run for it. There's water and sewage districts, all of these things, school boards, and then of course you have your local mayor and city council positions. We have worked hard not just to recruit people to vote, getting the vote out, but to get them involved and to consider being a voice in local government, because that really is what the Constitution is. They're supposed to work for us. We have some wonderful representatives that in our district, and they were happy to have our help to get them elected, by showing up at parades and putting their signs out and door knocking. But what I think they may have been a little bit surprised is we've been watching them in the legislative session, and we've been calling them when they voted in a way that didn't represent us, because we've got skin in the game. We helped get them elected. So we let them know. I've worked on a rapport with our representatives, and when they vote outside of the way that we vote in our district, we let them know. And when they come to campaign again, we're going to have our list of why did you vote this way, even though I've already asked some of those questions. So there's a lot going on. I'll add to what Jim said as far as election integrity. I was a part of, for at least one full summer, helping to clean the voter rolls. I found, as I went door to door with information showing, hey, shows that at your address, there's 17 people who live at this house. Can you tell me how many are active voters? We had to sign affidavits. It was a pain. It was a lot of work, but we went out and we said we were nonpartisan, because I think that's the only way we're going to at least make progress in a blue state like this. And it's true. I mean, we would have let any Democrat walk with us, but what we were doing wasn't for the GOP. It was for the county election office. And we got data from the election office there for how many people were at these addresses. And I would knock on a door and talk to someone, and they would be so surprised to see how many people were registered at their address. And that's a whole strategy that I could talk about in a different sector. But Steve, I just wanted to, I'm honored to be here. I'll take any questions. I'm a charismatic. If I believe in something, I can sell it. And I believe, first of all, that we do not have election integrity, at least not in the state of Washington and not across the nation. I am an America First constitutional citizen who believes that we can hold our elected representatives and our governments to a standard, which is the Constitution. I also want to give another shout out there to Dan Schultz. I think that the precinct strategy is a brilliant strategy. And here in Washington, I think we have about a third of our PCO positions filled. That's not good, but it's not just PCOs. We don't need people to fill a slot and get their name in there. We need active citizens who are working in who know our platform, who are representing us. A PCO really is a representative for their precinct. And so I want to get people a fresh vision of what even being a PCO is. And then I want to hold our elected officials accountable for the way they vote. And I want to hold our King County election office accountable as well. I've been a poll watcher. Well, it's not a poll watching. It's election, what's it called? I forget. It's watching what the elections are. You may have heard this week, we have a couple of election watchers that are now being charged with, a felony because they wouldn't wear a mask. And that was in 2024. They come at us all kinds of different ways to discourage us from being involved in the government process. And I am excited that there's this many people here on the call today. I'm excited to be working in King County at the GOP. And I do believe we are going to make a mark, and the rest of the nation will wonder what the heck happened. A bunch of patriots woke up in King County and in Washington State, and we are going to flip this state red. I really am confident that we can do it. And thank you so much, Steve, for having me on today.
Well, thanks for coming on. Question, why do you think you're not getting enough PCs in Washington? You have a third, and most places have 50%.
Well, I believe it's because it hasn't been a priority of the party, for one. And I would say, at least in King County, it worked better for them when they didn't have as many voices chattering at. And I think that when the PCOs realized the power of their position, and I think King County gave a boost of encouragement to the rest of the state, because if there's been, and I'll call it establishment leadership for a long time, they don't want a bunch of other voices in there. And Dan knows that very well, and I've heard him talk about it. So I would say we are working hard now to recruit PCOs, but we empower them and we let them know we're gonna have the power be from the bottom up, not the top down.
Thank you very much. So, Raj, just show this. This is Dan's book.
Okay, yeah, it's on.
Can you put that on?
Yeah, we see it right now. It's on. You're on. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. So www.precinctstrategy.com. Dan has spent 14 years doing this with Steve Bannon. We want to thank Steve Bannon. He's broadcasting this today along with Grace Chung and Maureen Bannon. Thank you very much. There you go. If everybody goes to www.precinctstrategy.com, look up his website, buy his book. It's $10 on Amazon. You will get to know how to become a precinct strategy person in your state. And again, Dan will host with me in September, precinct strategy, one person from every state talking about what's going on in each state. So that's going to take us a long time to do, but we're happy to do it. Our next person will come on from Washington again. Dale Whitaker, you want to put him on there?
Yeah, Dale, go ahead. You're up.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me. So I ran for Secretary of State last year. I am actually British. I moved here in 2008 and I became a naturalized citizen in 2015. And I think that's important because the citizen verification initiative that Representative Walsh and Chairman Walsh has put forward is something that not just naturalized and not just born Americans are very, very passionate about, but also naturalized citizens are passionate about. People such as myself who believe that we have to put America first. Yes, I am British. Yes, I am a native Brit, but I am quintessentially America first. I believe that this country is the biggest hope that we have for the world. We have seen it time and time again in history. And I think what's important here is that in Washington State, we have an attorney general and we have a governor who will not prosecute election fraud and election crimes. In 2023, TJ Martinell from the Center Square had an article where he had proven that a foreign national voted in our election 28 times. in Washington State. And that person was never put forward for prosecution. And this happens time and time again. And when I ran for Secretary of State last year, one of the big things that became very, very apparent is that we have no chain of custody with our mail-in ballots. Zero. There was a case in Bellevue where a woman received 16 different ballots for 16 different individuals at an apartment that she had with her son in Bellevue. And her question was, how am I receiving ballots, but I'm not receiving any of these people's junk mail? It made no sense. I get all these ballots, guys, but I don't get their junk mail. So we have a problem with chain of custody here in Spokane, where I am. We had just last year, actually, during election season, there was 20-some ballots thrown on the sidewalk. And they found that the UPS postal worker had thrown them or it dropped out of their bag or something like that. We have no chain of custody with mail-in ballots. Very recently, I actually interviewed one of the good county auditors that we have from Kittitas County. His name is Brian Elliott. And we were talking about cast vote records. In Washington State, you cannot FOIA request cast vote records. They will not release them. So we cannot even verify that who we vote for is what our votes are cast for. Now, people talk about, oh, this is conspiratorial and so on. But there's a big question that's come up, and it comes up time and time again. And this is not just in Washington State, but it's across the United States. And the big question is, why is it that we're using these machines to count our votes when historically we could do it at a precinct level with voter ID? It's very fast and efficient, and yet we're taking 2 weeks to count votes on these machines that are supposed to be super efficient. Well, it turns out that they're not super efficient. And then obviously, a lot of us probably in this call have a lot of concerns about the machines and whether or not they're connected to the internet. There is a lady named Erica who FOIA requested a lot of documents from the Secretary of State's office. And within those emails, the Secretary of State's office admitted that they have to connect the machines to the internet in order to update the software for the machines. So in one hand, they're telling us these machines are not connected to the internet. All the while, they're admitting, well, we have to connect them to the internet in order for us to update the software. And anyone knows anytime you connect something to the internet, it becomes vulnerable. There's vulnerabilities. You don't even need to be connected to the internet. You have USBs. But we need to get back to a point with Chairman Walsh's initiative to a place where we are showing up at the polls in person with voter ID, and we are casting our ballots, and we can watch the process from end to end. And we don't have lawlessness and shenanigans happening, like not prosecuting the foreign national who voted 28 times in Clark County. That's a Class C felony. That person should be in prison. It's that simple. This is no different, guys, than people crossing the border, knowingly, illegally crossing the border. This person knowingly and illegally cast their ballots, knowing it was against the law. That person should be in prison. It's that simple. It's black and white. We should ensure that only citizens are voting in our elections, and that is not happening. Chairman Walsh kind of touched on this, because our voter rolls are not being adequately addressed in Washington State at the county level or at the statewide level. So the big questions that we have in Washington State are really surrounding the chain of custody issues that we have in our state. And I think getting back to a place where we can at least, I see Chairman Walsh's initiative as more of a stopgap than a solution. And I think he would agree. This is one step in many steps that we must take in Washington State to secure our elections. There is no discrimination. I'm a naturalized citizen. I can take my certificate of naturalization and I can go down and I can register to vote. That's no problem for me. You know why? Because I'm a legal citizen that is eligible to vote, and it is very, very simple. There are many, many issues that we need to address. I think this is a very, very good one. And I hate speaking after Chairman Walsh because he's so good and he covers so much. But there are very, very systematic things that are happening in Washington State that are top down, that we absolutely are being told we cannot talk about. When I ran for Secretary of State as a Republican, you know what I was told by my peers and my fellow Republicans? Don't talk about elections. Don't talk about election integrity. Why is this something we cannot have a conversation about? Why is this something that we can't do? So I said, screw it. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about it loudly and proudly on the campaign trail as a naturalized citizen to this country who believes this country is the best country on earth. And the way that we secure this country is with our elections. Because without fair and free elections, we do not know that the people representing us are supposed to represent us. It's that simple. If we cannot trust that the people representing us are supposed to be representing us, then how can you trust that they're going to do a good job? It just doesn't work. So we need to actively work with Chairman Walsh in Washington State. If I know there's a lot of folks in here, the party is working very hard. I'm very active with the party and working alongside Chairman Walsh. We need to work to make sure that we get these initiatives in front of the voters, in front of the electorate, get them signed. We need to make sure that people know they can check their ballot status. And I know this is, people say, well, is it really worth it? Because we don't even know if it's being counted correctly, but absolutely check that your ballot's been received on votewa.org to make sure that it's been received, that it's been counted. And if it hasn't, secure your ballot. We lost an election last year. The Public Lands Commissioner, we lost by a very slight margin. We lost getting 2 Republicans into the general. Not lost the election, but we lost 2 Republicans getting into the general by a very slight margin. And if we had just been able to be a little more aggressive on ballot curing, it was possible to do that. And I think that it's important that we can get people rallied behind these efforts in the short term while we strategize in the long term on getting things like voter ID taken care of, securing our mail-in ballots while we still have them, and making sure that we hold our electeds accountable in Washington State. There's just a couple more things that I think are really important here in Washington State, and it's your county auditors. We really have to focus on getting good county auditors into their seats that will allow you to go in and see the process end to end. Many of you are very aware of what's happening to Tim Hazelow right now in Island County. He's being prosecuted for not wearing a mask. It was an ad hoc rule that was enforced in Island County. We need to get rid of that county auditor stat. That should not be happening. These are draconian measures that are being enforced against specifically Republicans. And the way we fight back is locally, at the local level, making sure that we have good county auditors that are going to allow us to observe from start to end. And if we can do that, that's one big step toward a good long-term election integrity in Washington State. Steve, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We want to thank some of our people who are podcasting this today. Ann Vandersteel. Hey, Ann, see you on there. Todd Callender for Cloud Hub. Larry from OBBM Network. Dan Smiglio, who always does a tremendous job. Dale Richardson in Canada. Jody Cox up in Michigan, I believe. Dan Nunn, who was at the airport in LA and got this on. So we appreciate that. So our next presenter, we want to thank John Goodman for giving up his spot for Dr. Jerome Corsi, who has some tremendous information that he wants to share with us. Raj, can you get him on?
Yes, Doctor, he is on. Go ahead and start. Go ahead and unmute, please, and you're up. Dr. Corsi, go ahead and unmute. And if you turn your camera on as well. He may be having some technical difficulties. He is not unmuted yet. Dr. Jerome Corsi, go ahead and unmute if you would. Okay, he may have some technical difficulties. Steve, can we go to the next guest and we'll come back to him?
Sure. Joe Hoft, if he's there, and then we'll get Dr. Corsi on when he gets on.
I don't think Joe Hoft is here yet. Let me just check. Stand by. Oh, there he is. Great. Joe, if you could, Joe hasn't, there's a tech issue with Joe as well. Let me just see. We have the other speakers on. We can come back. Can we go down the line to the next speaker? Let me just check with Jerome Corsi. No, he is not on yet. He's on, but he's still muted and his camera's off. Can we go to the next speaker?
Well, Mike is coming on at 3 o'clock, so we got time for that. See if Jeff Bongioni is there.
Stand by for Jeff.
Raj, I'm here as well. This is Joe Hoff.
Great. Let's go to Joe. Thank you, Joe. Making you co-host right now, Joe. If you could just turn your camera on if you're at a place where you can do that. There you go. Perfect. Go ahead, Joe. You're up. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, guys. Great to be here as always. It's good to see some of the friendly faces out there. I recognize a couple of you, so that's great. I appreciate all you do and what you've been doing this now for 4+ years. So appreciate standing up for America and this great country. And as we all know, everybody on this call knows, if we don't fix this election, we're screwed. This country's done, and communism will take over. And we've already saw 4 years of this over the last period of time under the Biden regime, and it was a nightmare. And we're really lucky, I think, that we don't have another 4 years to that. And I think the next time we do, they're just going to start. You're gonna be thrown in jail. We already had people thrown in jail and not even a trial for 4 years. Jake Lang's an example. We've got President Trump, who they made up crimes about that was bogus. So the draft, the where we're at right now is just absolutely frightening.
You didn't unmute.
Well, it was not my time yet. It's 2:42. It's 2:50. I'm supposed to be on.
Oh, you would, but don't matter. We'll get you on at 2:50. But how about your
Okay.
camera? Is your camera on?
Everything's on now.
Hey, can you
Okay,
go
so we'll
mute,
get
guys?
you on there right after for Joe.
I'll be ready.
Are you hearing Joe?
Yeah, I'm hearing
Yeah,
Joe
I-
just fine.
Yeah. Okay. Great, guys.
I'll be ready.
Thanks, Jerome. Okay. Well, anyways, that's my spiel on what I think about where we're at right now. This is an incredible point in history. So how do we do this? How do we tackle this? How do we get results? Well, I'm going to share an
It's done this week, okay?
Sorry, Jerome,
Hey,
can you
guys,
go on
hey,
mute?
guys,
That's it.
stand by, Joe. Let me try and fix this. Stand by.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about the technical issues, guys. One moment. Stand by. Okay, Joe, everyone
Yeah,
else
great.
is muted.
Yeah,
Please
great.
continue
Okay,
on.
thanks, man.
Sorry about that, Joe. Go ahead.
No worries. So anyways, it's really important what we do. Here's an example of what we did in recently over a period of about 4 or 5 months since the 2024 election that actually worked really, really well. And it involves people like you, it involves people like me, and it involves the DOJ. So I've talked about this before with Steve and Raj on one of these events, and but I'm gonna highlight it again because this is kind of and I'd say God was in the middle of all of this as well, because so here's what happened after the 2024 election. As you recall, President Trump ran away with it that night, and we're all waiting to see what's going to happen next. We're going to have another train wreck like we did in 2020. That was my big concern, and fortunately, they awarded it to Trump that night, which was a bit shocking, especially after 2020. I realized they had post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of 2020. But we saw Trump was way ahead. The House and the Senate also were all wrapped up for Trump. It was going to be a huge blowaway. Plus, as you guys know, it was the popular vote with Trump crushed Kamala. Kamala was horrible. She was a terrible candidate, as we all know. She's going to be another pawn like Joe Biden. Anyways, what happened was a couple of days after the election, I'm notified by a lady in California that says, hey, Orange County here, which happens to be the 6th largest county in America. Hey, they're needing people to cure ballots. So I wrote a piece up about that. We got it over at Gateway Pundit. And the next morning, President Trump retruthed it. That started some fire. So here's a part of a recommendation. If we have a big story, if we can get it to a site like Gateway Pundit, myself or Gateway Pundit, then we can push it. And so we did that. We didn't really know what we were getting into, but anyways, Trump retruthed it. That caused some concerns, I'm sure, from Orange County. Oh my God, Trump's all over this. So then what happened, that was a Friday. That evening in Orange County, they had a bomb threat. And this wasn't the only bomb threat in all of California. There's like 7 or 8 more, 50 some across the country that we're all just forgetting about right now. There was bomb threats all over the place in key locations, and nobody's saying a boo about it. It's frightening. So anyways, what happened from that, we found out was that there were vehicles that showed up in the back of the facility. There was concerns that it looked like in Michigan from 2020, were they dropping off ballots? We ended up requesting video from that time period. We found that the peculiar thing was nobody was stressed, nobody was was scared. Again, if it was me after 9/11, you tell me there's a bomb threat in the building, I'm getting the hell out of there. But they didn't notify the people there. They ended up sitting there. We have video of these people doing that their job. And we show this one lady, she shoves a ballot of 3 huge stacks of ballots, maybe thousands, through a machine at one time, not just once, but 3 times. And actually, someone pointed out the guy next to her did the same thing. And we wrote about that, and then they come back and say, oh, no, that she didn't do that. We checked. We get from Bob Page, the individual who runs the elections there in the county. No, we checked and everything's fine. And that was, and as being an auditor who's done audits around the world, China they didn't tell me, oh, we checked, everything's fine. I received the information. They were upfront and transparent with me. Not in our elections. That's a big key. We've got to make our elections absolutely transparent. Next, what happened? A series of things. One thing is we got the data and we looked at it. 2.1 million people received ballots in that election in that county, but they only had 1.8 million people on their voter rolls. So again, they came back with the response, Mr. Page, oh, that's because people came in, and the 300,000 that came in, we gave them another ballot. And we checked, he said. We use these poll pad things. Well, that's all garbage, as you guys know. BS, show it to me, prove it to me. I'm from Missouri. It's the show me state. I'm not believing your BS, And so then we go on. Eventually what we did, just to there's a number of articles that we wrote over a period of time. But one of the big articles then at the end was, I said, well, we know their voter rolls are garbage in California because we'd pointed this out before. We know all of California, about 20% of their voter rolls are non-citizens. And it's because of the way they do it. I've written about it and put it up. It's what they do is motor voter. People come in and get a driver's license. They automatically shove them into the voter rolls unless they say, no, I'm not a citizen. But if they leave that box blank, they automatically shove it in. So most illegals aren't going to say, I'm not a citizen. They leave it blank. They shove all those votes, all those individuals into their voter rolls. We know there was 20%. So what we did is we checked the people that voted. Actually, we had the data of the 1.4 million people whose votes were counted in Orange County. We did a statistical analysis on that, just like I would do an audit, just like I did with actuaries, just like I did in graduate school. This was something that you do when you've got a large data set and you can't check every one. We did an analysis. We come out that 21% of the people that voted in Orange County were bogus. 21 were either non-citizens, were either invalid, meaning their address was someplace else, or we don't even know who they are, phantom voters. So we've reported on that, and this series of events over a period of months ended up leading to 2 weeks ago or so, the DOJ finally having enough and standing up and saying, we are suing you, Orange County, because you are not giving us the information we're asking about your voter rolls. So that started with an email from somebody like you that we knew, that I knew, and it led to a lawsuit by the federal government against Orange County. And this is huge because it's every place in California is this way. It's totally broken. They have a series of things in place that they've legalized, like, as you know, ballot harvesting, drop boxes, the bogus voter rolls. You can't challenge things as an election observer. It's a mess. It's a joke. It's a sham. It's a communist regime. It's a communist election. So we're going to continue to keep doing that. But that's the remedy. This is where you guys can help. You get a big idea. And the thing that was God about this was that we saved the biggest bomb for last. And while this guy's scrambling to come up with answers to what we did, he even went to a grand jury and asked them to make an opinion. They agreed. They said everything's fine. He should get a reward. It's a joke. He's being sued right now. And even in that piece, we found out the total number of votes they said for Orange County didn't agree with the total number of votes that were certified. So this is the kind of work we need to do. We need to work on this together. We need to keep shoving this stuff in their faces and throw this big stuff out, because these elections are broke. So I'm appreciative for Steve and Raj to have me here. This is what we need to do, one step at a time. We can work together, and we can stop this terrible fraud that's happening in our country. We've got to work with Trump to make sure 2026 is a certifiable election. Get rid of these machines. Trump's working on that. We're going to all work on it too. So thanks all for being here.
Yep. Thank you very much. All right. Let's get Dr. Corsi up.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Corsi.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to join you. And Joe, it's good to see you. And thank you for all the great work you've done over the years with Gateway Pundit.
Thank you.
My report is following. on our website, which is gods5stones.com. You go to G-O-D, no apostrophe in the S, 5, you spell out F-I-V-E, stones is plural, gods5stones.com. We've been featuring the work of Andrew Paquette. Dr. Paquette has found in the State Board of Election computers, in their database, their voter registration database, there are secret codes, and they permit the creation of millions of false voters who are modified duplicates, fabricated, but they're all available for mail-in ballot fraud. And because we publicize this so extensively in so many states, the Democrats were not able to use the algorithms for the presidential election in 2024. That's why when Joe commented that everybody was concerned that they would repeat 2020, just keep counting until they got enough mail-in ballots to have Biden win, they would do the same for Kamala. It didn't happen, and in large part because we would have caught them. We know what the voting fraud looks like. They stopped counting. They produce mail-in ballots in the thousands. Whoever's ahead of it's a Republican. By the time they're finished counting the ballots that are fabricated, the Republican loses. And we've seen this fraud now for many years, and we know how they do it. Now, over the past several months at God's Five Stones, I've been working with Peter Ticktin, Ticktin. Peter Ticktin is the President Trump's friend and attorney. They went to high school together at the military academy. They've known each other since about 15 years old. And the president asked Peter Ticktin to take on the responsibility of figuring out how to deal with this voter integrity issue. Now, several things I'm going to tell you I've been briefed on in working with Peter, but Peter has used the work we have done at God's Five Stones to show how the voter fraud occurs. And the fundamental issue here is that the computers have been penetrated at the State Board of Election. Okay, now there's also all the things that have been found by so many of the research that Joe reported, so many fake voters being voted, the computers downstream being involved with foreign governments. Well, the release of the Department of Justice recently, that Christopher Wray suppressed information that 2020 China was involved in interfering in the computers is extremely important. So what the president's strategy is the following. On March 25th, President Trump introduced an executive order that gave 180 days, I believe, to the states to come to a system of voter ID, proof of citizenship, limited mail-in ballots, more like absentee ballots traditionally were, rarely given, no mail-in ballots as a general, no drop boxes, none of this harvesting, and paper everything with the counting of votes done by paper and videotaped as the counting occurs, with the opportunity to challenge ballots and have, I've got a 17-page paper that's being circulated right now in terms of the steps needed to make sure that what Trump is set forth in that executive order are being implemented with specific, steps the states will be required to take in order to make sure the elections are secure. So the plan is in September, President Trump, most likely September, will issue another executive order. And this time, including under Article 2 powers of Commander-in-Chief, President Trump's going to declare a national security emergency. Our elections are so broken that they cannot be permitted to continue this way. And under Article 2 powers of Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump is going to insist the states stop using all existing voter rolls, stop using all existing computers that handle those voting rolls, that we go to voter ID and proof of citizenship for new registrations, and that proof of citizenship demand the ability to make sure someone is a citizen before they be allowed to vote. Then new voter rolls will be implemented so that there can be in-person checking that the person who is voting is the person who is registered to vote. All ballots will be paper. All counting will be by hand and videotaped. There will not be any machines involved in the elections. Now, since this is an Article 2 proclamation, the courts don't have any say in it, including the Supreme Court. Because it's a national security emergency. We're under attack by foreign countries. And therefore, the president, as commander in chief, is going to make sure our elections are secure and free of foreign interference. Now, this is a major step, and I think all the steps we're taking, this will not be solved in the courts. The courts are not going to take these cases. The states are not going to change their voting rules if they can't. And the Democrats are going to scream bloody murder to have these kinds of changes implemented. But what I'm here to tell you today is that, we're working at God's Five Stones directly with Peter Tigton, and we're going to have some very, very detailed executive order requirements from the states that will, as commander in chief, that will, even with the, there have been Supreme Court rulings that the president of the United States can determine the rules that states have to follow in order to make sure that the states are in compliance with federal requirements. And so therefore, the Supreme Court's not going to be able, especially a commander in chief, to interfere in this executive order. The algorithms are still being used in down ballot elections, and this is going to validate the work almost everybody in this call has done. I see Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's work, I believe, will be validated, and that we're going to be able, I think, to have a decision made so we have time before 2026 to get new rules in place mandated by the federal government for the states to follow for the midterm elections. We cannot allow the midterm elections to be stolen. We'll have 2 years of more impeachment in the last 2 years of Donald Trump's presidency, and the president's aware of it. So this is the solution that's in the works. And I just want to share with you what I've been briefed on and what our role is in trying to make this happen. And I greatly appreciate being in this call, and I've admired the work of virtually everyone here who have worked for voter integrity tirelessly. And I think we're going to reach the goal line here only because President Trump isn't going to put up with it anymore. And I think that the Department of Justice, will quickly announce a special prosecutor who will look at the fraud in the 2020 election. And again, a lot of things all of you have worked on and demonstrated are going to be vindicated with the solutions set in place as I've outlined here today. These algorithms continue to be used in down ballot elections. I wouldn't be surprised if 20% of all the Republicans.
I'm on here right now. What's up?
All the Democrats elected were elected by the algorithms and not by the people.
But Mike,
So, just in conclusion, I think we're going to find that when these rules are in place, the Democrats are not going to have anywhere near close to the numbers they have in the House and the Senate. And we're going to have, I believe, the kind of overwhelming victory that President Trump had in 2024 be repeated in 2026. And so thank you for this time. And
Dr. Corsi, could you repeat that for Mike? I think Mike came on late. I wanted to hear exactly what the EO is real quick that you guys are suggesting.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump is headed to do an executive order, Mike, that is going to require, this will be issued in September. I'm getting circulated working papers as to what the rules are going to look like. But essentially, Donald Trump is going to say under Article 2 powers as commander in chief that we have a national security emergency. Foreign countries like China have penetrated the elections. There are algorithms in the database that in the state boards of election that permit the creation of millions of false records that can be used in voter mail-in ballots fraud. So there'll be new rules and regulations put in place that will require the states to stop using existing voter registration rolls, to stop using existing computers, to go to proof of citizenship, voter IDs for new registration, have paper balloting that will be monitored by video. You can see the counting done, fully recorded, to have opportunity to challenge ballots that's robust, and to have absentee ballots narrowly defined, go back to the old system, and to eliminate this mail-in ballot as an option and eliminate all the harvesting and all of these things. And Mike, a lot of the work you've done has been vindicated. So the computers, I believe, are going to be ruled out of the elections altogether. And these measures are being taken. We're working to refine the procedures. Will be hopefully going to be authorized to circulate these fairly quickly so that everybody can see the new rules that have to be put into place. It's going to be done by executive order under Commander-in-Chief Article 2 powers, so the courts won't have any say.
Right.
Very
Right.
much, Dr. Corsi, and we're going to have you back on again because we have about millions of people on this listening, and they're going to be very happy. I know John Goodman has helped you with a little bit of stuff.
John Goodman's been a big help. He's really
Thank
helping
you,
us,
John.
and I greatly appreciate the work John has done.
Terrific. Well, now we
Okay.
got Mike Lindell, who was with the president a couple weeks ago. We want to thank him for all the great work he's done. I mean, this is the man that started all this, getting rid of machines. It cost him millions and millions of dollars. We want to thank him so much because he's saving the country. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, thank you, Steve. God bless you. And I just got off my show, everybody, and it's a new show I have on Lindell TV. You'll have to watch it. Melting Down the Machines. So that's a big segment we have, and it's been my focus for 4.5 years now. And yes, I did just met with the president. Now this is the third time about 2 weeks ago, and I'll be hopefully seeing him again next week. And one of our biggest focuses, you've heard about the a special prosecutor, but we also need a team that goes back in time. And then we also have a team going forward, everybody, to get rid of these machines and computers and the paper ballots hand counted before the primaries, before next year. And we're well on our way in a lot of places. So all of you can get updates every day. My show, that's all we're going to focus on every day. It's on lindelltv.com. You guys check it out. I just got announced today that Wendy Rogers has just brought stuff to Washington for a compliance review. If you guys are hearing this for the first time, breaking news, for a compliance review of the Arizona machines, in Arizona. There's stuff going on in every state and every county. It's been a lot of it because of all of you. And we've started this for 4.5 years. The president back then, when I was raising my hand or whatever, he is one of the things him and I are aligned perfectly on. He wants to get to paper ballots, hand counted, same day voting, precinct level, voter ID. I mean, everything that we actually got put in when I ran for RNC chair. That's one thing that manifested out of that was the resolution that the RNC put out in August of, I think it was 23. And that was, it might've been August. Yeah, it was August of 23, I believe. Paper ballots, hand counted, same day. What would be the perfect system? Remember, everybody, 132 countries have banned these electronic voting machines. They've done it for a reason. And over 100 countries have banned early voting and mail-in voting. Only 13 county or states went back to where it was. I think I got this from John Goodman, by the way, Steve. I think he told me this. Only 13 states have went back to where it was prior to the China virus, and where they put in all these rules. These, let's be like Minnesota. Minnesota had 45-day early voting long before any other state, but there's multiple things we've been fighting, and one of the things we talk about, and I'm sure everyone can appreciate on this call, one of my biggest surprises, bar none, has been these uniparty Republicans that block us at every turn. I was just on my show with a guy representing the state of Arkansas, and Arkansas, they could vote. Every county could vote to get rid of the machines and go to paper ballots. And the senator named Kim Hammers, who's now running for Secretary of State, we have to beat him. He pushed a bill through and said, if you're a county in Arkansas and you go to paper ballots, hand count, we're defunding your county. And when one county decided, you know what, we're going to do it anyway, and they went after those guys, and they're telling them they can't help out in the elections for 14 years. And let's see, who's the governor there? Sarah Sanders is the governor there. She's letting this stuff happen, and we don't understand why, everybody. So we're up against these uniparty Republicans, and maybe some of them are duped. Maybe so it doesn't matter. This is we're not going to let them stand in our way. We are in a critical time right now I told the president 2 weeks ago, I said, sir, I promise you, your next 4 years are not going to be in vain. We cannot let it be just a time in history. Everybody were things were great for 2 years or hopefully 4 years if they don't steal these midterms. And I said, it can't be. We've come this far. We've got to continue on. We have to win this. We have to. We absolutely have to get rid of these voting machines, secure our elections. This has to happen. There is no, and God willing, it's going to happen. The president knows the urgency of this. He knows everything started from a stolen election, and then everything that's revealed itself. He's got you just heard about that executive order that's coming. He put one in about 2 months ago on the stuff that a lot of stuff I had given him. And there's things in there that the states are already violating. When you talk about QR codes and stuff like this, these other things that they're violating, and these states are going, you know what? We know the president put that out, but no one's enforcing it. And one of the things, like we say, our government deemed our elections critical infrastructure. And president puts out an executive order and they're not following it. And then what they're doing it, getting around it because of just like California did when we went there, the handicap laws. And by the way, California had the best handicap laws in place. If you were in California, you go back before we went all in on Shasta County, and then they changed the law on us. But what California had was it's like a confession thing. If you got a handicap, a machine can't cover every kind of handicap anyway. And that's a fact. So what you could do under the confession, the way to do it, you bring someone with you, like the old days. Somebody comes with you, or you get there and you let Johnny Bananas, you sign a little sheet that it's okay for him to see who you voted for. Who cares? This worked. This worked for decades, and it's got to work again. We can't use that to block us. It's bad enough that the uniparty Republicans block us at every turn to get this done, but they can't block us anymore. The word's gotten out, everybody. We're in a much better position now than we ever were. We've got our voices have gotten so much bigger. You go back 4 years when this all started, 4.5 years, when 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed on January 7th and 8th. If you spoke out about Jesus Christ or against the vaccine or said anything about the elections, you were banned. You were canceled on Zuckerberg's Facebook, Jack Dorsey's corrupt Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube. They canceled us all. That was our voice going down to nothing. Then lawfare started in February 4th when Smartmatic sued Fox News and started lawfare. Had not been done in our country. It had not been done in our country since the 1700s. And over 100 people, everybody was sued, so our voices were silenced. Everybody was afraid to speak out or they would get sued too. All these networks, your Fox Newses of the world, your Newsmax of the world, they became weather channels that wouldn't talk about tornadoes or hurricanes, which means they wouldn't talk about our election platforms. This is where we're at, but we've come a long way. Since that time, look at our voice has gotten huge. Our voice has gotten so big. We've got all your social media platforms now. From Vocals, Truth Social, Getter, Gab, even X now, Elon's X, even got Zuckerberg. They quit covering stuff up over there at Facebook. So our voice has gotten bigger as we have now, just a thing like Wendy Rogers bringing that review in for the Arizona machine. These things that are happening that are going to be good things, the word needs to get out so everybody knows what's going on so they can't get suppressed. Or you got people like in Arkansas, this Kim Hammers that runs this bill through, he's going to be called out. You're going to have governors that are blocking this going to be called out, like Sarah Sanders. You're not going to block us anymore. We've got to save our country. You guys, I'm going to tell you this too. Just so you know, I just brought this to the president, to the White House when I was there. Our teams that are on the ground in all 50 states, over 300,000 strong, and all the data and all the stuff that I bought and collected over the last 4.5 years, we took all of that and all the technology, the cyber guys and everything, to the best of our knowledge, 9 congressmen and 4 senators were stolen in the 2024 election. 9 and 4. That's what we're 100% sure of. So let me tell you, if I'm their marketer for evil, all I've done is say, you know what? They're on to us. They're on to us. We can't have we can't steal it from the president of the 2024 election. I mean, we can't steal it from Donald Trump, but they're going to demand these machines. They're going to, at this time, they're going to say, open them up. Let's see what, that's like if you had your bank account and you didn't match, you go to the bank and they open up the computer and say, hey, let's find the problem. Well, the public would have demanded that, just like if they would have stole the House or this completely in 2024. It was too obvious that they would have had to open them up. So what they're going to do now is they're going to try and steal these midterms. And remember, everybody, in the midterms, this is where you get your uniparty Republicans. They do it in the primaries. So we're under a race against time, everybody. We are under a race against time. So whatever everyone on this call can do, you guys can all check out. I know we have a lot of stuff posted at mypillowtrial.com. If you check that out, mypillowtrial.com, the website's still up there with the election crime bureau and stuff. And why is the trial? I'm going to tell you guys, we had a big breakthrough about a month ago. As you know, MyPillow, when they sued over 100 outlets back in January of 21, they sued me, over 100 people. They sued Fox News, all these other news outlets, but they only sued one company, MyPillow. And why did you sue MyPillow? Number one, there's only one reason: you want their CEO to shut up and quit talking about to get rid of these electronic voting machines. You want him to shut up. That's what they did. So they sued my innocent MyPillow, my employee-owned company. Well, over the last 4 years, everybody, every single person that got sued or platform has so far settled because their insurance companies say, hey, we need to settle this right now. It's going to cost way too much money. Or the person or platform is just settles it out of fear of going completely bankrupt. Well, let me tell you what happened. I brought it all the way to jury trial in May. MyPillow was 100% vindicated, everybody. You need to check this out at mypillowtrial.com. Now, they were 100% vindicated. They still put out $2 million that I owe personally, that because I used my First Amendment right of free speech and called them traitors and the biggest criminal crime family that ever lived, or something like that. And and I would say it again, because this is the way it is. I mean, if you can't speak out about these machine companies that we paid for, that's part of our government. This is bizarre. That's what lawfare is, to silence our voice, So we had a huge win there with MyPillow, totally vindicated and found innocent. But let me tell you, everybody, if this doesn't scare you, here's what they said. The Dominion, they had Smartmatic. By the way, all the machine company lawyers were all sitting around the courtroom like cattle. And anyway, here's the last thing the jury heard. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you all heard that, you all know that Mike Lindell, he had a net worth of over $50 million, and now he's minus 10 million. You've all seen that in the news. You all heard it here in the trial. He's borrowed millions, and but he said, we're asking you that you rule for us and give us $60 million. $60 million. That's what we're asking for. And if it bankrupts MyPillow and Mike Lindell, so be it. Because we need to send a message to the United States that you don't put out disinformation about our election. That's the last thing the jury heard. But by the grace of God, the jury looked at that and they didn't listen to this guy, and they went and said, MyPillow has done nothing. Can you imagine advertisers in this country afraid to advertise on shows because of lawfare, of what the host might believe in or say? It's disgusting. But this opened the door.
2 minutes, Mike.
Yeah. This opened the door, everybody, that no man could shut. That was the biggest win. It opened it up. And what we're doing now, I just met with the president 2 weeks ago. He's working from the top down, and we're working from the bottom up. And we're in a race against time to get rid of these voting machines. And I'm going to tell everybody, you guys realize they don't have to all go at the same time. Argentina did it in 4 months. They were the last state. One judge ruled, hey, they got to go. It can be done. We already have the replacement systems, at least 3 that are the best hand counting paper ballot systems in the history of the world. I met with France, Germany, the Netherlands, all these places, all this best technology is put together. You want to do an audit, you rewind the tapes. It's a beautiful thing. So we've got everything answered. We're 5 years ahead of this. All we need now is someone to say, hey, they gotta go. They gotta go. And I believe it can be done, and it's going to be done very fast. But realize even if you haven't done in areas, you can't have one area with machines and one area with just paper ballots hand counted, because you're going to have these huge deviations. And this time around, with our voices getting so big, we will get the word out and say, open up those machines. It's like having one bank will show you your records and one won't. This time it will all open up. So I'm very encouraged, everybody. And I want to thank each and every one of you for you guys never giving up and stay with us. We have to save our country. Right now is the time. And if we can't let like I told our president, the next 4 years be in vain or just a time in history. We're in the greatest time to be alive. God has given us grace for such a time as this. So thank you all and God bless.
Mike, what did the president say about Tina Peters? Is there any update?
Yeah. Let me give you an update on Tina Peters, everybody. When I was in Colorado, the president from the last time we had met, he sent things to Colorado, asked them for their 2020 records and their 2022 records. I told his attorneys and stuff, you also need to ask for the 2024 records. Colorado already deleted the 2020 and the 2022. Our federal government should be, I said, there's only one records there, and that's what Tina Peters did, her backup. By the way, everybody, if you want to see the real image from Tina's case that came right out of the machines, I posted it last week. It's on LindellTV.com. Get yourself some time to read, go over there, read it, get yourself a cyber guy and have a ball. What I said that they could do, Steve, is it'd be very simple. Remember, everybody, he can't just pardon her because it's state. And they want her. They're making an example out of her. She's a political prisoner. All they would have to do is make her a federal witness to what the corruption that Jena Griswold and Dominion did to the state of Colorado. Make her a federal witness, put her in the federal witness protection program, and pull her out of the court where they're trying to kill her. Pull her out of those jail where they're trying to kill her. And because that's what they're trying to do. She's a grandma, Gold Star mom. It's disgusting. She is a political prisoner. The president knows that. And he is doing everything he can and I really believe he will get her out.
So anybody wants to call the governor, please, we've been calling the governor. Here's Governor Polis. The number is on your screen. Give him a call and ask for a pardon. I understand also that they're going to have some maybe this week or next week about her getting out on bail. So let's hope it works. She should never be in there. Mike, thank you very much for all you do. Raj, you want to get a couple of commercials and stuff in there?
Yes, thank you, Steve. So again, my friends, this show, and now not just what you're looking at here, but all of the behind the scenes work with a network of podcasters that Steve has put together takes so much time and effort. And so we have two sponsors for this event. I'm going to show you the first one. You've heard me talk about it before, and this is the Reclaim campaign. We were just so fortunate in just over the weekend to actually speak with Steve Bannon and a number of other fantastic speakers at the Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. My friends, I'm going to share with you a quick update from the Student Action Summit because it ties into the Reclaim campaign. And right after that, I'm going to give you one more special message that I really would like you to please pay attention to and please take action on. And so here we go. We're going first with the Turning Point USA update report and Reclaim campaign. Here we go.
Those B-2 pilots in Missouri hear you loud and clear. I'm here at Turning Point USA in Tampa. We've just wrapped up. You can feel the pulse of America waking up. These young men and women are fired up. But as you know, it's what happens afterwards that matters. And that is why we're having the Reclaim campaign taking place on July 26, 2025 in Venice, Florida. My friends, 7 objectives. I'll share 3. 1, help you find the best possible candidates to replace those that are in office right now that are giving you lip service and not honoring your requests or taking actions that you want them to take. Number two, how to fund the campaign so that they have the war chest necessary so they can win those elections and get them in the primaries as victorious elected officials in the primaries. Number three, how you can increase your footprint, increase your voice, and become the dominant voice in your community. So what you want, not what the establishment keeps saying, what you want gets honored, gets heard, gets acted on, and gets implemented. Nothing else, nothing short of that will be sufficient. My friends, if that is of interest to you, go to reclaimcampaign.com right now and buy your ticket. We have a few more left. Ticket sales will end soon. July 26, 2025, reclaimcampaign.com. The importance of what people do at the local level, because that's what the Reclaim campaign is attempting to do. Bring different groups that are currently working together so they can do a better job of getting better candidates, raising more money earlier, increasing the political force and capability at the local level.
Absolutely. Power that comes from the top down is power that can be corrupted, bought, captured, stolen from us. The more power is coming from the top down, the more we're going to lose because they're all corrupt. The more that we focus on methods of bringing power from the grassroots up, the more that's not something that they can steal, not something that they can corrupt.
So my friends, you heard it right from Patrick Byrne. If you haven't already, make sure you get connected with reclaimcampaign.com.
July 26th, make sure you go to the Reclaim campaign event. This is very important to make sure MAGA's voice is heard in the great state of Florida. Remember, Florida and Texas are the two railheads of the MAGA movement. So let's go. Make sure you get hooked up with Raj and the team over at Reclaim. Do it today.
So there you go. And now I'm going to do a Steve Stern move. I'm going to do a Steve Stern move right there. Reclaimcampaign.com. Right there. Reclaimcampaign.com. And now you can just see flag shirts. So before we go back to our set of speakers, another very, very important message. We have all kinds of things coming up. You guys have got birthdays. You've got anniversaries. What do you get for the people in your life? Here's the answer. And let me actually share that so you can see it. Again, this is the flagshirt.com. Important message. This is what helps keeps these calls rolling. And here you go. This is your next event that's taking place. Father's Day, graduations, Mother's Day. There's amazing gifts here for Mother's Day as well. Take a look.
What defines the American spirit? Preserving life, liberty, and pursuing happiness. Caring for the nation we call home and its people. As patriots, it's our duty to drive the entrepreneurial spirit, pushing hard, reaching for success, sharing patriotism, because the American way of life is for all to live. The Flag Shirt, where freedom reigns.
Again, friends, please take action. Reclaimcampaign.com, and Steve Stern has got the flag shirt. And look at that hat. This is one of the best-selling hats that he's got there. Doesn't he look fantastic? Your father, your son, your wife, your mom would look fantastic in one of those hats. Look at that, Steve. You're making the merchandise look even more amazing, Steve.
So, this was the #1 item on TikTok for the 4th of July. And we want to thank everybody. We had a tremendous 4th of July. That's our big season. But after the 4th of July, people are coming in because they forgot about all this stuff for the 4th of July. Everybody was so busy. So let's move on. We got a great guy coming on from Palm Beach right above me, Jeff Bongioni, and I think he's got somebody else that's going to share the screen with him. But if you get a chance, put up our little thing on the my son has this, and he's paying for a lot of this today for onethrive.com. I don't know if you have that little stream.
Yeah.
Hang on, Jeff. If not, we'll get it on a little bit later.
Yeah, let's get it on a little bit later after Jeff and Chris.
All right, Jeff,
Gleason.
I see you have 27 computers there. You ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock and roll. So quick update on Palm Beach County. I ran for supervisor of elections, and over a 13-day period, 492,000 ballots were cast. I won by 8,000 votes. And then the fraudulent vote by mail ballots came in 239,000 of them, and they wiped out the leads of 10 Republicans. We lost 2 congressional seats. We lost supervisor of elections. We lost a couple of port for the imports. That we have a big port in Palm Beach County. We lost both of those. We lost school board. We lost everything because of these fraudulent vote by mail ballots. Is my screen up? Is my screen
Yes,
shared?
yes, we
Raj?
can see your screen. It says PowerShell.
One quick thing with going back to Tina Peters. Now, I had a copy of that forensic image that Mike has posted. I actually got it before he got it posted up, and we did forensics, and we found something called time stopping, okay, where this changes the dates of logs. Now, how does that tie into my local case in Palm Beach County? Well, we have an admission from the Palm Beach County Deputy Supervisor of Elections in a sworn affidavit to Judge Cannon in my July federal case, stating that she didn't know what she was really talking about, or she didn't know the laws, and she admits that she doctored a official election record. Now, right now, currently, I have an election challenge. It's the same exact case that Peter Tickton brought on. We basically, a couple of guys, Chris Gleason, John Siamas, did the groundwork, got him the information. Peter Tickton represented two cases. Neither of them went anywhere, except mine, pro se, is still alive. Now, this should be national news. Right here, we have an order. I got the judge disqualified, people, because she was biased. She was concealing the fraud, and so were the attorneys. Now, it's crazy what happened. We wanted to show the court on a monitor an actual EL68A report. This is a mandatory report, statutorily required by the supervisor to produce. She did not produce it when I did a public records request. She denied that it existed. So right now, as we stand, Palm Beach County cannot verify the election results. They've yet to do it. And this is the essence of my case. And as you can see here, these are log files. And this is something that Chris got through public records request from Hillsborough County. And you'll see ballots 9, total votes 2,114. Okay. You're going to also see some logs where votes exceed ballots. Now, this is their data. Chris has all of the information that shows this is official government data. And what happened when we went to show this to the court, Chris was on the stand, and let's see if I can get to the transcript. I can move this out of the way. And I want to show you this. This is an official transcript from the hearing that we had on July 1st. And what they did was this is the witness is Chris. We were going to show the records, and they were going to prosecute Chris and us and myself for asking this question that would reveal the truth. So here's this is a big problem. Chris is going to go into it. Another minute, I'm going to kick it over to Chris. But as you can see now, the case was reassigned to a new judge. This should be national news. No one's talking about this. And what happened in the courtroom was something that I've been hitting on with the local ground game of the sheriff, okay? The sheriff and Wendy Link both outperformed Donald Trump and Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. Wendy Link got 39,000 more votes than Kamala Harris, who won the county on fraudulent mail-in ballots, no less. And the sheriff got about 47,000 more votes than the top of the ticket. So how is that possible? I want to know. I want to meet these 38,000 people that voted for Wendy Link and didn't vote for the top of the ticket. Now, this is a motion for protective order that I was going to file because my witnesses were all being harassed by deputies. I have all the cases, all the incident reports, and so now we have proximate cause, causal connections showing a conspiracy to the between the sheriff and between the supervisor of elections. Also, in my federal case, I was found to have standing on 2 counts. So I can go back to federal court. Now I have even stronger evidence of the courts suppressing the concealment of fraud. And I'll turn it over to Chris. Chris, you can give your experience of testifying in the free and fair county of Palm Beach.
Hey there. So it was, for a while we were giving Bonji a hard time over him harping on the sheriff's behavior and the treatment of his campaign designees and volunteers. And we kept telling him, look, you got to drop it. There's other things at play here, Bonji. And we have all this other evidence that you really need to be focusing on. And it wasn't until the defense counsel, the judge, and the sheriff's deputy who was working as a bailiff in the courtroom tried to intimidate me from testifying truthfully. I mean, I had never seen anything like that before. It was very egregious behavior, and it was unlike anything I had ever seen in a courtroom before. And I've been in a lot of courtrooms.
Well, Chris, one thing we didn't get out there. I had a witness list of 14, and the judge said you could call one witness and ask one question. And so Chris was my go-to guy, and it was a show trial. It was terrible.
It really was. I mean, it was an affront to the due process. It was an affront to the justice system. I guess in Palm Beach County, it's the just us system, not a justice system. And Bonji ended up filing for motion for mistrial, motion of disqualified judges. This is not an isolated thing, however. Okay, this went on in my election challenge case in Pinellas County, Florida. In my case, they sealed all of the exhibits. Much of these exhibits that were sealed in my case were the same exhibits that were presented in Bonji's case, and 414 page sworn affidavit with exhibits. And this is all government data. It's not our data, it's all self-certifying, admissible in court. They have no choice. I mean, end of story.
Yeah, so
that's what it should have been.
So here's the difference in our case, okay? What we're going at now, we've established a pattern of concealment of fraud, and we have Wendy Link, who is using taxpayer dollars, over $100,000, which makes it a second-degree felony to fund her public defense. That's against the law. We have the sheriffs, we have the ground game, I was trespassed from going to canvassing board meetings. My entire team of campaign designees were protected. They were intimidated. They were obstructed. So we don't have to really get into the machines. We don't have to get into any of this stuff. We have stuff that the public can understand. She's stealing tax dollars to pay for her defense, to conceal the fraud. And we paid a lot of money for the transcripts. We can prove to the public. So what we're pleading to everyone on these calls is to help us. We've been funding this on our own, and we want to get this out there. We want to advertise. We want to get a good professional video up. We want to get it out on social media. We'd even like to buy some media and airtime, because we cannot let it go this long. She concealed records. She did not produce my public records request. But 2 months before, in the primary, she offered those primary records, the same reports that I requested, to Darlene Swaffer. And in April, right after the presidential primary, she gave those same reports to Chris Gleason. So right there, they can't hide from that. That's discrimination. They illegally trespassed us. They didn't give us due process. That's a county ordinance that's meant to protect our open meetings proposition, they call it. So these are local ordinances. These are local rules closest to the people with traceable duties. And that's what I learned in federal court from Judge Cannon. So we want to get this out there. And the issue with Palm Beach County is that, how they redistrict everything and everybody wonders why? Well, Wendy Link controls not just one congressional seat, but 4, okay? She threw with her fake ballots the Broward race, okay? Joe Kaufman should be in. Dan Franchese beat Lois Frankel. In 2022, I ran against Brian Mast. And miraculously, in the precincts in Palm Beach County, he got the first 50 sequential vote by mail ballots, all his votes, before any of us. There was 4 of us. I came in second. So Palm Beach County is a target by the deep state. Also, this ties into Epstein. The attorney general lost. Okay, Sam Stern, no relation to Steve, he won. So if we can really come down with pressure on Palm Beach County and get things right, it's going to help us disclose Epstein, because we'll get a sheriff in there that'll release records, and I know they exist. So I don't know, Chris, you want to take a closing? Steve, another 30 seconds for Chris?
Yeah, we're pretty much out of time, Jeff. You want to wrap
All
it
right.
up? How do they reach you?
Yeah, I'll drop my link in the chat. I don't have my Steve Stern board ready.
You got it. All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
guys. Thanks for your time.
All right. Next up is Phil Izon.
Phil Eisen is not on yet. So
Yeah,
could
he
we
said
go
it was
to-
on.
Okay, let's check again. Phil. I have Phil Leggio. I don't have Phil Eisen.
Izio, yeah, I'm sorry. You can
Izio.
put
I
on,
don't-
how about Kate Sullivan? Is she there?
Yes, Kate is here. Kate, go ahead.
All right,
If you could
put on.
unmute, please. Kate, if you could unmute and come on. There we go, Kate. Go ahead.
There we go.
And Jeff, Bonjour, if you could stop your share, please. All right, great, Kate. Go ahead.
No problem. Well, thank you so much. It is an honor to be included in today's lineup. I always learn something from all the people that present, and I hope that something I say today will help one of you. So with that said, when I am finished, I will include my email in the chat as well as our website. Just if there's any follow-up questions or things about what we are doing. So just to get started, I am with Secure the Vote Maryland. We are a grassroots organization that focuses very heavily on holding boards of elections accountable. We are really focused on our 2 main priorities are securing future elections. We're not interested in relitigating past elections. I'm sure, like all of you, we know that's not possible and it really doesn't work. We don't want to spin our wheels in that direction. But it is very important that we use past elections to make sure that secure elections in the future. And I think something we always say is we are trying to restore faith in our elections in Maryland. We have always felt that there is a huge opportunity for these boards of elections to work with us. And we always hold out hope that there will be a collaboration. And in fact, we have found that there are 24 jurisdictions in Maryland. We at Secure the Vote we have all 24 jurisdictions represented. So when we say that we would like to work with boards of elections, that means that we are using those local people to join boards of elections meetings and bring the things that we put together and Secure the Vote to them directly. We meet every Saturday morning via Zoom. That's how we keep people engaged. When we meet, we talk about our priorities and for that week. Every single week, we have ongoing priorities that we focus on for that particular week. We are a blue state. Maryland is a blue state, and I think we enjoy a wonderful collaborative spirit because I think we have shared trauma living in such a blue state. We have incredible support from our state party. There's lots of local conservative groups that support us. Robin Sachs, I know she's on this call. She has been a tremendous help. She always connects us to all the people that are doing great things nationally. We've worked with United Sovereign Americans and the great work that they do, obviously True the Vote. So I mentioned that because I really believe that that has been the key to our success in such a blue state, is that we've always relied very heavily on other people and their trusted expertise. And then we sort of pick and choose and we use whatever other people come up with, and then we'll bring it to sort of those all politics or local situations. So we'll take those local ideas, those national ideas, and take them locally. We have key priorities. Our key priorities, and some of these may sound very familiar to all of you, are list maintenance, open meetings violations, legislation, advocacy, and citizen action. So I'm going to talk today very, I think it's really important for us to focus on what is working. I find that that's always been helpful for us. What's working and why is it working in Maryland? So those are the things. I think we all know the problems. So I wanted for today's call to focus on some of the solutions that we have found work in Maryland, and maybe they'll work for some of you across other states. Our background is that we filed 2 lawsuits, and one of them, we were successful, we prevailed. That first lawsuit was asking nicely, and we asked nicely, and they didn't. So we sued them and we won. That we are allowed as citizens to canvass rolls, to investigate rolls, and insist on accuracy in our rolls. So they tried to stop us from doing that. We sued them and we won, and that was wonderful for not only Maryland but across the states, because we set a precedent that other states can investigate the rolls. Now, we filed another lawsuit that was in conjunction with United Sovereign Americans. Unfortunately, we did not prevail on that one. We lost on standing. But what I always love to highlight, and my team, every week we talk about this in our 8 a.m. Saturday meeting, about even though we lost legally, what we learned in that process is how effective you can be sort of quietly pushing these boards of elections to do the right thing. Yes, you can file lawsuits, and we hope all those that have filed lawsuits prevail. That would obviously be great for all of us. But in the meantime, we have been working very diligently to, at a local level, hold these boards of elections accountable in all our 5 priorities. Now, list maintenance is probably not unlike all of you. We have deceased records, we've got duplicate records, we have moved voters. Those are our primary priorities, and we purchase our lists monthly. Maryland makes it very easy to do so. We analyze those rolls, and on a monthly basis, we submit all of those inaccuracies to our local boards of elections and also the Office of Special Prosecutor. That's the process that it takes in Maryland. Maybe all of you have something different, but we have found that on a monthly basis, submitting those to the local boards of elections and the Office of Special Prosecutor, that even though sometimes they deny what we say or they, quote, ignore what we say, we always find that the next month they've corrected it quietly. So it's this way that they can save face. They don't have to necessarily say that we told them they were wrong and that we were right. But what we have noticed is that they will go ahead, they being the boards of elections, they will correct, they will remove those voters, even though they don't necessarily give us the credit that we showed it to them. So at the end of the day, we feel like, well, we've made a difference, and they saved face, and we got them to do the right thing, even if it was quietly. So that has been a very effective strategy. And along those same lines, we also work with open meetings violations. So open meetings violations might not seem like something that's important, but it is a wonderful way to hold Board of Elections accountable. We submit our open meeting violations. That's like if they don't post their minutes, if they don't have an agenda that matches their minutes, or they don't post their agenda. Something that has come up recently, closed meetings. We have found that boards of elections across the board are habitually moving into closed meetings so they can discuss things that are uncomfortable and they don't want pushback. We as a team have noticed that. We have a wonderful group on our team that really focuses on that. And we work with the attorneys general and they have no choice because a violation is a violation. The Attorney General will then circle back to the board and make them correct those mistakes. And over the last 6 months when we started doing this, we have noticed all of the 24 jurisdictions, they now post their minutes. They now have their agendas on time. They stream their meetings, and they're going into closed meetings less and less. Again, it's that quiet way of making them do the right thing. We also work with legislation. We have wonderful representatives that work with our team. We've established ourselves as sort of the trusted experts in Maryland. I think it's safe to say that. We have incredible people on this team, data experts, lawyers, just, committed citizens. So we have over time established ourselves as trusted experts, and that has been very helpful because these representatives, I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. They are committed and want to help us, but they don't quite know where to begin. So we have meetings with them regularly to not only expose the vulnerabilities in the system, like deceased and duplicate and moved voters that are currently on the rolls, like open meetings violations. We teach them about them, and then we teach them how to talk about them in a way that a Democrat can hear. I'm sorry to sound partisan, but in Maryland, it just happens to be that the Republicans support the work we do and the Democrats do not. So we do find ourselves often having to try to reach across the aisle, get the Democrats to understand where we're coming from. And believe it or not, those one-on-one meetings are actually working because legislation, voter IDs are a big push. We had a big election accuracy advocacy day back in February, where we were able to make all kinds of connections with local representatives. And again, establish ourselves as people that do understand what is happening in Maryland, and then making sure that we build on that because it is our goal to pass voter ID in Maryland, hopefully in the next legislative session. That is always our goal.
Kate, you want to tell everybody how to reach you, and your time's up.
Oh, sure, absolutely. SecureTheVoteMD.com, and I will put my email in the chat. And I just wanted to add, we are also recruiting election judges. That's a big focus for our citizen action. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Kate.
thank you so
Appreciate
much for having me.
You got it. We want to thank some other podcasters: Mary Starr, Matt Struck, Todd Wood from Atlanta, Sam Anthony from YourNews.com, Scott Sachs, SG Annan has about 20,000 people on it. Unbolted, I think they're out of also Washington. Thank you very much for doing the podcast. You can see we got tons of podcasters on all over the world. This is going on to 58 countries. Right now, there's 4 million people that have watched it, and we're getting more figures in all the time. Next person up is from California, Mark Beer. Put him on there.
Go
Raj.
ahead, Mark. You're up. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Hey, Steve, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'd like to introduce myself very quickly because I'm pretty sure none of your other podcasters know me. I am a Christian husband, father. I was a military contract pilot, a deputy sheriff. I'm a fire tanker pilot. I've been fighting the water wars in agricultural Northern California for 30 years. I've sued the state of California over Second Amendment guarantees, which we had a hearing on June 24th, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to win based on the judge's reaction. And we will then return to open carry of an unpermitted weapon in California. Right now, what we're working on for the most part is a state split of California. California is broken. It's irretrievably broken. It cannot be repaired, and it can't be repaired for a very specific reason. We are all in this nation the subject of 3 very prominent court cases: Baker versus Carr, Westerberry versus Sanders, and Reynolds versus Sims, all presided over by that champion of liberty, Republican Chief Justice Earl Warren, who, by the way, has never read the California Constitution and probably never read the Constitution at all. And believe me when I tell you that judges steal your liberty every day with impunity. I've had judges as a deputy sheriff tell me the Constitution doesn't apply in my courtroom. The Constitution means whatever I say it does. Bringing up the Constitution won't get you anywhere, just things like that. We sued the state of California for lack of representation and dilution of vote, trying to gain access to an Article 4, Section 3 state split as outlined in the United States Constitution, which roughly says no new state will be formed from the territory of an existing states or to adjoining states unless the state legislature agrees and Congress agrees. We had declarations in 22 counties. We submitted them to the state legislature. We had tens of thousands of emails, hundreds of thousands of phone calls, and not one single California representative, not even our own, made a single phone call or made any inquiry as to what we wanted or why we wanted it. And so we sued the state of California in federal court. We got a Democratic hack for a judge, Judge Kimberly Mueller, who, by the way, is the chief magistrate of California's Eastern District now. She's a neighbor of Jerry Brown, a staunch Democrat and Obama appointee. And under Title 8, Section 2284, it says that any lack of representation or voter dilution case, the federal judge has one duty and one duty only, and that is to call for a 3-judge panel, because no single judge can be trusted with the vote of the people. Judge Mueller did something that has never been done in the history of the federal judiciary. I'm almost gonna laugh when I say it, but she ruled to appoint a 3-judge panel. And then after what we're pretty sure were illicit conversations with the court, not privy or briefed on the case, she reversed her own ruling and dismissed the case for lack of standing. And here's what her lack of standing essentially says. Yes, everything that the plaintiffs are saying is true. Yes, they don't have representation. Yes, their vote is being diluted. However, since everyone in California has no representation and their votes are also diluted, there's nothing the court can do about it. And she dismissed the case, and because I have a limited amount of time, I'm not going to go into much more of that. So what we've decided to do is to try to have a statewide initiative which will break the state of California into 3 or 4 parts. And we have a website. It's called CaliforniaStateSplit.com, all lowercase, no spaces, if you want to know what that's about. And what we're trying to do is find out if there's enough interest in other parts of California besides the counties of the state of Jefferson to see this happen. It's the only way we can restore representation. Thomas Paine, in his little booklet, oddly enough, titled Common Sense, he said the first legislature should be held under the branches of a big oak tree. But as the colonies grow, representation must also grow so that all parts of the colony, he didn't say all people, he said all parts of the colony remain represented. And that's because forested communities need different things than desert communities. Densely populated counties need more different things than rural counties. That's why each county has to have representation of its own, which we don't have in the state of California. And also what Thomas went on to say was that we must have an increase in representation as the colony grows, not only so that all parts remain represented, but so the people we elect would not be able to form a separate agenda from the people who elect them. And that's what we have in California. We have the worst representative ratio in the nation, 300% worse than state 49, 1 million people per state senator, 500,000 people per state assemblyman. Well, the way this looks now is 1/3 of the state of California, 1/3 of the geographical area has 6 state level representatives, and the other 2/3 have 119. Or 114, I'm sorry. Our district in Jefferson, 11 counties share a state senator. Los Angeles County has 11 senators, 15 if you count senators that share other counties as well. So what happens is we're subject to tyranny by the majority. In these court cases, Baker versus Carr, the federal government gave itself the power to intervene in state elections. That was pretty big because they hadn't had that power prior to Warren making that ruling. And in Westerbury versus Sanders, the Supreme Court invented a term called one man, one vote. And what that means is the federal court demands and apparently gave itself the power to insist that all single seat elections in the states, as well as the federal government, will be apportioned strictly by population. So if you have Los Angeles, for example, that has arguably 7 or 8 million people, they're always going to have more representation than pretty much any other single area of California. And what it comes down to in states like Washington and Oregon and California And this is what Justice Frankenfurter warned in the Reynolds v. Sims case. He said, if we do this, we'll create a nation that has an entirely city point of view, because the cities can always outvote the entirety of the rest of the state. Look at Chicago and Illinois, look at Seattle and Washington, look at Salem and Portland in Oregon, look at Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento in California. Everything people in the cities want. If they want wolves in your backyard, you're going to have wolves in your backyard. It doesn't matter what you think or what you want. You're outvoted every single time. That's why we feel that California must be broken up into smaller entities so that the people we elect will not be able to form a separate agenda from those who elect them. We have a constitution that's a sample for the other portions of California that may or may not want to form their own state by initiative. Article 8 of the California Constitution gives us the power to do this. We intend to change Article 2 of the California Constitution to order the governor and the legislature to pass Article 4, Section 3 state split legislation should the people of California vote in the majority to do so, or should the people in the counties affected vote by majority to leave the state of California and form their own state. And in wording it this way, we hope that we will defeat the tyranny of the majority, because that's what we're subject to. And we have officials from Sacramento that come to my house all the time and say, you can't use the irrigation water that's been your property since 1859. I just look at them and I say, look, if you want the water, just bring your gun, because that's what you're going to need to get it from me. That's the state we're in California. Highest taxes, worst roads, worst schools. I could go on and on and on and on. But if you, the people of the state of California, would like to correct that, we can do it right now at the next election with a statewide initiative to break this state up into 4 smaller states, where the people within those states can decide how they want to be governed, and they will have the power to do that. Election integrity, yeah, it's very important, but what's the difference if it never changes the outcome? We have to have a constitutional framework where electors are directly responsible to the people who elect them, and then we would have the opportunity to go back to how California or the states that we make up to be governed as they were before, with 1 state senator per county, and then the assembly apportioned by population. What that does is creates checks and balances, geography, area, culture, history, economy, against the unbridled power of the masses. And
Mark, that's time. You want to wrap it up and tell everybody?
Yes, I do. So please go to CaliforniaStateSplit.com to get more information. And if you want to follow the lawsuit, it's to keepandbear, BEAR.com. And please check this out. It's worth your time. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Want to thank a couple more podcasters, totalnews.com from San Diego, my good friend Norman, Tim Tingler, George from Big Mig, Charlie Simmons, who I was on this program the other day, fantastic guy, Bud Cornwell, and Amber May. Those are just some of them. We've announced about 30 or 40 of them. We have hundreds that are podcasting this thing. Thank you very much. Next up, we're going to have a real treat for you guys. We got a young Republican from Manhattan, who is the election integrity person, Phil Liggio, and Andrew Davies, who used to be the head of election integrity for the state of New York. So,
and Steve, as right before we bring them up, could we talk about One Thrive? This is another
Sure.
exciting thing. Great. And I'll put it on the screen and you can just explain that to the folks.
So I want to let everybody know he's going to put this up. One Thrive. This is my son's company that actually pays for part of the program today. These are wall organizers, family calm-out centers. Really phenomenal stuff. He's never let me put this on, but I told him I wanted to put this on today because it's a great company. You can get this by going to One Thrive, number 1 thrive.com. Really phenomenal stuff. Take a look at this.
These are really great organizers, and they're built so well, Steve. They really could fit home office. They go in your kitchen, even your actual corporate office, and everything is so well lit, well made. And again, this is Brett Stern, CEO of the Flag Shirt. So anything you do with OneThrive will really help make a difference for these election security calls. So my friends, some of you are expanding your office, some of you are wanting to get more organized. Please take a look at this amazing product. We got some coupons here, all at onethrive.com. Steve, I think this could be a really great help for anyone who's watching this call if they want to get their stuff more organized.
In Michigan, the school system has put this in, and a lot of the kids are getting this. And all over the United States, there's different organizations using these things. They're phenomenal. Anybody can email me if they want information at sstern1054@gmail.com. Any information that you got that you want to note, give me a call, give me an email. We'd like to know if you have anybody that would like to speak on our next election security call. We're probably going to do the state of Illinois. We're working on that now. We try to do a different state each time. Hope everybody enjoyed a lot of the people. We got a few more speakers to come on. So if you can get Phil on and Andrew, it'll be terrific.
Great, Phil. Go ahead. If you can unmute Phil and come on.
All
there we go. Good, Phil.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon. Thank you, Steve and Raj, for inviting me on today. I'm sure no one really knows me, so I'll just start by giving a quick summary of myself and my organization, and then get into how my club is trying to battle this one-sided election process we seem to be having in front of us right now. As you guys mentioned, my name is Philip Leggio, and I'm an attorney here in New York City. And I also separately own a business, Enshrined Liberty Consulting, which helps people apply for their New York City firearm licenses. I'm also the recording secretary and on the executive committee of the New York Young Republican Club, which is the oldest and largest young Republican club in the country with over 1,800 members. We do everything from helping local campaigns, such as our New York City Council members, all the way up to organizing and running deployments and campaign rallies for President Trump, such as the Bronx Rally, the MSG Rally. We host an annual gala every year where we bring top conservative figures all in one room together in celebration. 2 years ago, we were very honored to have President Trump as our keynote speaker. And last year, we were very honored to have Stephen Bannon. We'll be having it again this year on December 13th at Cipriani Wall Street. But speaking of the club, we recently decided to increase our efforts in this battle against election fraud. At the end of the day, all this campaigning, door knocking, phone banking, all these deployments, it really means nothing if, at the end of the day, you have the election and the other side steals it from you. So as you can imagine, living in New York City comes with plenty of other problems unrelated to election integrity, like this whole Mamdani situation. Don't get me started on this. But, election integrity is equally important to our state and to our country, despite the ultimate outcome, right? So my club started taking part in the RNC's Protect the Vote initiative last year, where we recruited volunteer attorneys and poll watchers for the RNC. I personally spent the weekend up in Dutchess and Orange counties in upstate New York during early voting to monitor all of the polling sites there, and then spent election day at the RNC's Westchester War Room. I'll let Andrew speak a little bit more about his and the RNC's efforts and what they're looking to accomplish there. But, what my experience last year taught me was this. It reconfirmed to me and the club that there is a need to be physically present at every polling site in the country and to have attorneys on standby to, ready to litigate when, not if, but when it's necessary. It's going to happen. This is why the New York Young Republican Club is increasing our election integrity efforts this year and looking for as many volunteers as possible to join our fight. Having Republicans at the polling sites and focusing on election integrity really does two main things. The obvious one, not only does it actually help ensure the fair and honest election process, regardless of the outcome, but the second one is it alleviates the voters' concerns about potential election fraud. I spoke with tons of voters last year when I was doing some phone banking for President Trump, and one of the concerns I've heard over and over again was, and this is from Republican voters, what's the point of going out and voting if it's not going to count anyways? So what the benefit of this latter point is, it encourages Republican voters to get out to vote, knowing that their vote's going to actually count. The club therefore wants to ensure that we have a team of election integrity volunteers, not just attorneys, but anyone at the ready for both the local and national elections. And that really goes for every level of government, because every seat counts here. I really encourage everyone listening and watching today that if you have any interest in or questions about the club or our election integrity efforts, reach out to me at philip.leggio@nyyRC.com. That's Philip with one L, Leggio, Leggio @nyyRC.com. I just want to thank you guys so much for giving me this opportunity to speak about the club and our efforts. And I'm going to hand it over to Andrew Davis.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Phil, and thank you, Steve, for having us on. My name is Andrew Davis. I'm the former state director for election integrity here in New York State for the RNC, and currently director of operations for the New York State Conservative Party here. I currently don't speak for the RNC, but I just wanted to briefly talk about last year's EI program and the massive success we had in deep blue New York State. When all was said and done, we ended up covering 1,300 shifts for poll watchers, and it helped almost 2,600 people become poll workers all throughout the state. And I just want to thank Chairman Wiley, because without him and without the election integrity program nationally, we would not have had this success here in New York or across the country. So how do we accomplish this? My team and I were holding election integrity training 3 to 4 days a week via Zoom, in person, all while simultaneously recruiting new people into the fold. We worked diligently with our local GOP, Conservative Party orgs, because we have fusion voting here in New York State, as well as candidates and clubs like the New York Young Republican Club that Phil and I are a part of. And everyone had one goal in mind. We wanted to protect the vote and make sure that we elect Donald Trump as our next president. And we were happy to say that we accomplished that goal here. The trainings would be about 30 to 45 minutes, covering everything from electioneering, the process behind poll watching, the law for poll watchers, the basic do's and don'ts, what to look out for, and to always keep your eyes and ears open. They were also trained on how to report any issues back to our war room that Phil touched upon. Myself, volunteers, and our lawyers would receive these calls and handle these issues immediately without delay. Now, some of these issues required a little more effort and brain power and communication with the Board of Elections, but there's other issues we were able to solve almost instantly. Now, without this program in New York State, I can't tell you how many people would not have voted or their vote would not have counted. For example, we had 2 national cases arise, one in Dutchess County and then one on Long Island, where some voters, someone voted in someone else's name. Now, obviously, that's fraud, and the only way to stop that in New York State is to require ID to vote. Now, we're obviously in a one-party state. As of California, we need legislation. I know I think it was Kate, touched upon Maryland's one-party rule. We do need legislation to pass, and in New York State, it is looking bleak because we are completely outnumbered by Democrats. But I want to throw one more interesting thing at you guys. In New York State, you can walk in to vote. You could say your name, confirm your address, your date of birth, etc. And all you have to do is sign your name to vote. And if that signature matches what they have on file at the Board of Elections, you are good to proceed to vote, and they will print your ballot and you're good to vote. Now, I'm putting up air quotes here because the signature has to be close enough. Now, this is completely under the discretion of the Board of Elections workers there and who are working the poll sites. And most of the time, they are Democrats. They do not have our best interests at heart. And I can't tell you how many calls we received on this topic. And we always made sure to tell everyone, vote on an affidavit ballot. Do not leave. If they've told you already voted, you stay there. You demand their absentee ballot or affidavit ballot. I apologize, because every voter is entitled to an affidavit ballot no matter what. And the good thing about New York, we have a good bipartisan system here in New York where everything has to be checked by a Republican and Democrat, whether it's counting ballots, whether it's printing ballots, whether it's transporting ballots. Everything has to be done by a Republican and Democrat, which is actually a great thing. That's why one of my goals as state director was to encourage people to become poll workers if they were able. Poll workers have more power than watchers. They are employees of the state. They are trained and paid for by the state. But in New York State, we have poll worker parity laws where we must have equal representation of Republicans and Democrats working our polls. Now, it's no secret that Democrats completely outnumber us here in New York State, as well as some of the other states. But if not enough Republicans or conservatives sign up to fill these spots, eager Democrats are going to come in and they're going to be the next ones that get on the list. Because I say eager, because we all know Democrats have been historically very good about volunteering and getting part of our elections. They have some of their good talking points where they need to save democracy and it gets their people going. We have been doing a lot better as Republicans doing that last year, and we're going to continue to do that just so we make sure that our elections are safe and secure. Now, I just wanted to end, and I appreciate you guys all listening to me, but this is essentially also a call to action here in New York State. The time is now to start making the plan to sign up to be a poll watcher at protectthevote.com. You can get involved and be a poll worker through the New York State Board of Elections. This is a local year in New York. It's a great time to be trained, build your confidence, learn what you need to watch out for as a poll watcher and a poll worker, because we're all getting ready for the big election next year where we have Congress, we have our Assembly, we have State Senate, and we obviously have the big one that everyone's talking about. We have our governor race in 2026, where we want to make sure that they are completely covered. They don't have to worry about any funny business going on with the elections, because we're going to make sure to be on the ground as volunteers, as lawyers, whatever it may be. We want to make sure our goal is to protect our elections. And now, Phil, I'll pass it to you if you want to add anything to that. I know I spoke a little long. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got our time is up. So thank you very much. You did a great job.
I'll put my contact info below. Thank you, everybody.
Got it. All right. So before we get our next guest on, we'd like to make sure everybody goes to Stern American Rumble to see all the stuff that we're doing. Follow me on Stern American on X. Very important. There's a lot of information coming out. Stern American Rumble, Stern American X. Next up is John DeFerrera from the great state of California.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, John. Are you able to unmute? Excuse me, are you able to turn your camera on?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. We see you. Excellent, John. Go ahead.
Okay. So, my mind is racing right now because there's been so many things said. But I've been doing these calls that Steve and Raj have been sponsoring, I think going on a year now. I think I started attending last summer. And so the thing that I would like to discuss is it's basically like bringing a dead animal into the room. There's a lot of people that don't want to talk about it. But there's a lot of speakers at the top of the call from Washington, and there was a gentleman named Bill Walker, and he was a resident of Auburn, Washington. Unfortunately, passed away during COVID. But Bill Walker was an Eagle Scout, went to college, became a journalist, and he was really focused on the Constitution his whole life. And so we worked together, and we brought a federal suit to the Supreme Court about the Convention Clause of the 5th article. And our suit did establish, or the writ of certiorari did establish some things, because members of Congress were the defendants and the United States Solicitor General was representing them. And so after that, then Tom Brennan, who was a former Chief Justice from Michigan, also the founder of the Cooley School of Law, we co-founded a group called Friends of the Article 5 Convention. And that we founded that in 2007 and went through from 2007 all through the teens. There's been a lot of development about the idea of a federal convention. And the last call that I was on, I guess last week, Dan Schultz, I know he's, revered by some of you guys. He's done a lot of great work and everything. And he was asking in the chat, he was saying, well, what about solutions? What about solutions? So I sent an email to him and I said, well, what about a convention? And he replied back with a bulleted list by someone named someone named Andy Biggs, I believe. And basically it was all the age-old canards against a convention that George Soros or big money will take over a convention, or that we don't have people smart enough today to engage in that kind of discussion. But there's all these long-standing fears about the convention clause. And going back to Bill Walker, he figured out, it's on our website, I'll put it on there, it's Friends of the Article 5 Convention, but he found everything as to fact and law, why not only a convention is currently mandated by our Constitution, but also how the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment provides all the operational details of a convention. Because, you know, as everyone knows who's ever talked about this idea of a convention, it's the idea of, well, we don't know how it's going to work. How's it going to work? Oh, they'll take it. But really, the Equal Protection Clause, and Bill was not making this up. He was going off 1897 ruling, where a Supreme Court Justice Brewer, if we ever have a convention, it's going to be bound by Equal Protection Clause. And by that, I mean that because a member of Congress and an Article 5 convention delegate are the only two Americans who have the power to formally propose an amendment. And because those are the only two people that can do it, they have to be treated equally under the law. Meaning, if a member of Congress has to suffer an election to obtain the power to propose an amendment, so to do the delegates. So fast forward to Mark Meckler and Convention of States. We did hold a convention at Harvard in 2011, and it brought together over 400 people from the right and the left discussing this idea of a convention. And Mark Meckler, I talked to him firsthand at the, outside the George Washington Hotel across from Harvard. And I said, Mark, look, if your Convention of States project believes that we just need to have 34 applications that all say the same thing, then you're going to probably get a legislature to pass an application, and then 2 years down the road, that same legislature in a new session is going to rescind the application. And so you're just going to be playing whack-a-mole. So that said, right now, by my estimation, Convention of States has over 10 million Americans that are saying, yes, it's time for us to formally discuss our collective situation sanctioned by the Constitution. And on the left, there's probably 5 to 7, and there's probably another 10 million that are unaffiliated. So right now we have over 20 million Americans that are saying yes to a convention. So now here's the counterintuitive part. Let's say we have this convention, and the call is issued. The first thing is going to happen after the call is that there's going to be people like us saying, who gets to be a delegate? I want to be a delegate. I want to talk with other delegates there to see how we can make things better. And all of us, we would be election integrity delegates. So we would be caucusing with all the other delegates to say, hey, look, this is what we know about election integrity, and a 28th Amendment could make all these problems a thing of the past. But the convention is popularly concept that it's just some kind of amorphous thing in the sky that we don't know what's going to happen. But really, as Bill Walker has written, and you can go onto our site, Bill has written a lot of great things based on fact and law. But really, the convention is not a concept. It's a process. it's a constitutional process for us as a nation to build consensus. And as some of your other folks have said, you know, it's time for us to come together, and through coming together formally on the authority of the Constitution, that is how we can break this spell that whoever's got the most money wins.
John, that's about time. You got to wrap it up. Could you let everybody know how to reach you?
Yeah. So the website is Friends of the Article 5 Convention. And, you know, you don't have to be on the corner with a bullhorn about it, but just simply knowing that the convention process is not dangerous. It's there for a reason. And people like us will be able to build consensus for electoral reform in the form of an amendment.
Thank you very much, John. So our next presenter, Kat from Washington, a great podcaster, and she's going to wrap it up. She's our last speaker. So Kat, come on down.
All right. Well, hello, and thank you, Steve, for the invitation to speak today. I appreciate it. I am Kat Aspinda and the national spokeswoman for Crosscheck USA, a nonpartisan platform that puts the power of election verification back into the hands of we the people.
That was my best pitch.
Because truth welcomes verification. Now, let me begin with a simple question. When was the last time you voted and felt unshakably confident that your vote counted and exactly as you cast it? Because for millions of Americans, that confidence is gone. And in Washington state, the birthplace of election fraud, we've seen why. In 2020, gubernatorial candidate Loren Culp appeared to be winning by wide margins in rural counties. But then, in the blink of an update, 2 million votes disappeared from the live tally. No explanation was given. Now, Crosscheck USA's creator, Tamborine Borelli, captured and preserved screenshots in real time. These weren't glitches, they were patterns, predictable ones. Her election integrity watchdog group, We See You, also uncovered a confirmed vote flip of 6,614 ballots from a third-party candidate to Joe Biden, as well as over 37,000 votes that moved during 10 separate updates. In 2022, they dusted off their go-to move, insert a last-minute spoiler. The America First grassroots Republican Loren Culp up against Jay Inslee was sabotaged. In the Washington Secretary of State race, and a fourth Republican pushed in by the establishment appeared out of nowhere to split the vote. This isn't accidental. It's how they reallocate votes using hidden code that caps popular candidates and reroutes their votes. That's why you'll see candidates who don't campaign or raise money still take 20% to 30% of the vote. That's their function. In 2024, it happened again here in Washington state. Semi Bird, former Richland School District Board member, the area I live in, won the GOP's super majority nomination, had fundraising momentum and visible grassroots support. The Unum Party, as we've been talking about here today, tried to get him to sidestep and step aside with promises for a future run. When he refused, they smeared him and dropped in a spoiler who never campaigned but pulled in 25% of the vote. Meanwhile, Bird was held at 9%. Another 662,804 votes vanished in real time. We have the snapshots to prove it. The vote feed briefly held all candidates at 0%, a known sign of a program running in the background. Then new totals appeared, and Semi Bird was far behind. In 2021, Tamborine and We See You filed 8 lawsuits, including a writ of mandamus against Governor Jay Inslee of Washington to expose non-citizen voter registrations from the Department of Licensing, a clear violation of the Washington state constitution. Thousands of ineligible voters. All the lawsuits were dismissed, not for lack of evidence, but because they didn't allow the evidence of fraud to be added to the record, because the court said citizens lacked standing. So if citizens and we the people have no standing and candidates can't prove fraud without affidavits, what recourse is left? This is why Crosscheck USA was born. Candidates register and receive tools to enroll voters. Voters declare their vote under penalty of perjury and get a unique voter ID. Each declaration is time-stamped and stored securely off server for data privacy purposes. After the election, candidates receive precinct level tallies. Discrepancies can now be lawfully challenged with the affidavits in hand by candidates who register their campaign with Crosscheck USA. Candidates are already enrolling and thousands of voters are signing up. This is the movement the establishment never wanted us to have. This isn't about elections. It's about a solution. We've been talking about solutions here to election fraud and being proactive instead of reactive in this fight for our country. It's about our children, our freedoms, and absolutely our country, because if we don't have transparent elections, we don't have a country, period. So voters, register at crosscheckusa.com and urge your favorite candidate to register their campaign. Receive your ID and cast your vote on the platform. Candidates enroll now to verify your base. We've got a year to get your voter base on board, a whole year. Everyone spread the word. Don't just anticipate election fraud. Get proactive. Imagine the impact if mainstream media claims your registered candidate received only 20,000 votes, according to the mainstream Mockingbird Media News, a mere 3%, while your candidate holds 200,000 sworn affidavits from real Americans, each attesting under penalty of perjury to the truth. Crosscheck USA stands for unyielding integrity, exposing discrepancies and empowering the voice of the people with undeniable evidence. Win with proof. You'll hear smear campaigns about Crosscheck USA. That's how you know we're over the target. The last thing the Uniparty wants is for the people to verify the truth outside of their control. Let's make history, not just by fighting the fraud, but by outsmarting it together. Thank you, and God bless America. And thank you, Steve, and all of you that are working in our country, for our country, to make America great again.
Thank you very much. And that's our last speaker today. I want to thank everybody. Raj, you want to wrap it up, and I'll come back with a couple of things. Anybody who would like to, I don't know if you can put this on the screen again.
Yeah, you're on.
All right. So I see you. I don't know if I'm on there. So go to
you are
1054@gmail.com if you have anybody that you'd like to have on as a speaker. Please, any of your suggestions, we always like to have them. Thank you so much for coming on today. It was a tough deal today. We had technical problems, but we got through everything. Everybody got to get on, and we want to thank everybody for coming on. And I think we learned a lot today. I did. So extremely good. Go to theflagshirt.com. We got a lot of new items coming in. Thank you again. And we will be on again on the 30th. Raj, you have your Defend Florida. When is that on?
July 26th. That's a Reclaim Campaign event, statewide conference. We have a couple of people coming from actually out of state as well, coming. And again, this is all about people that are wanting to push back, but do so the following way. One, help at the Reclaim Campaign conference. We're training folks that are coming on three things. One, how do you find higher quality candidates to replace those people that are running things in your location that are ignoring what you want? How do you replace them? How do you find, how do you train, how do you vet people that will replace them? That's number two. How do you raise more money earlier so that these folks, when you find them, you can fund the war chest that'll actually get them over the finish line? That's number two. Number three, how do you increase your political footprint, your political power, your political voice,
so that your voice, the voice that you represent, the cause that you present, becomes a dominant voice in your location. So it's all at reclaimcampaign.com. And you can get information again by going to reclaimcampaign.com. Tickets will be ending sale this week. So if you're interested in that, please go to reclaimcampaign.com. Make sure that you go to the flagshirt.com. You can see that right there, flagshirt.com. We're going to play a different message here for the flag shirt because a lot of you there's graduations coming up, there's birthdays, there's anniversaries, there's special occasions coming up. What better way, what better gift than to give the gift of an item from the beautifulflagshirt.com. And to remind you what that looks like, I'm going to play this special message here for you. Those of you that are watching us through our streaming partners, if you want to get on our mailing list so you get more information about what we're doing earlier, if that's you, all you have to do is text the word elections, to 91776. Text the word elections to 91776. And here is this information. Watch this video.
What defines the American spirit? Preserving life, liberty, and pursuing happiness. Caring for the nation we call home and its people. As patriots, it's our duty to drive the entrepreneurial spirit, pushing hard, reaching for success, sharing patriotism, because the American way of life is for all to live.
I'm Steve Stern, CEO of Flagshirt.com, a third-generation, veteran-owned small business. I believe that the American way of life is for all of us. I'm asking you today to visit Flagshirt.com. Help keep the American dream alive.
The Flag Shirt, where freedom reigns.
Again, my friends, please take advantage of that. Please take advantage of that. The Flagshirt.com. Also, Thrive One. Is it One Thrive? The new company that we just learned about today. Phenomenal organizer items here that will make a huge difference in your office, in your kitchen, your family room. These products are just so well made. They look beautiful. They're practical. They beat the old dry erase marker that's just there by themselves. So make sure you take advantage of that as well. And with that, we will see you in a few weeks. If you want to know where to get the recordings, very simple. Just go to sternamerican.com. See, like I did that right there, sternamerican.com.
And also thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Samantha, for everything, for helping us. This takes a lot of effort. We have a lot of computers running here with this program, streaming it. We apologize. We came on a little late today. Technical problems all over the place, but that's TV or that's podcast. So thanks again. We appreciate it. Go to Stern American. And Raj has done a wonderful job going all over the state. He's out. We've got a lot of new people sign up all the time. You can see our little site here, our Flag Day event, which had over 10 million people on it. They're still going there. You can still find it on our site, and you can see all the interviews I've done. And we want to thank everybody for getting me on their programs. And we want to thank Michael and Dell for everything he's doing. Everybody who is working on our committees, and everybody is working on election integrity and precinct strategy. Dan Schultz, the head of precinct strategy, with Steve Bannon, and hopefully we'll get Steve on next time to speak. Again, thank you very much. We'll see you on the 30th. I need a few days for vacation.
All right, Steve. Well, we hope that you're going to keep your phone away from me, because if you don't, everyone's going to be calling you. So we wish you a great vacation. Thank you, Steve, for all of your hard work and inspiring all of us to do even more. And we'll see you in a few weeks after Steve Stern's vacation. So make sure you attend